Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who are risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds, who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's sole chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalio, and this video is about the Mark of the Beast prophecy, which is a microchip. Alright, so here we have it, man. Hot on the block. Alright. The Mark of the Beast prophecy and its development. So, what was it? Maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Maybe even longer than that at this point. The UK made the announcement that in order to work, you will need to have the digital ID. Now, the digital ID is a stepping stone heading towards the Mark of the Beast prophecy. All right, the digital ID is a part of the systems that they're implementing to facilitate the microchip and its usage on a mandatory and global scale. All right, this is a stepping stone where they are digitalizing the identification of the individuals around the world, and it's a worldwide thing, and they're consolidating your information all onto one place while also identifying you by way of your biometrics on this digital ID. And then eventually, when the time comes for them to push the microchip, which is the Mark of the Beast, they are simply going to transfer the digital ID onto the microchip, and then the microchip will be that all foreign use digital device, right? So you have other systems being implemented, such as the transformation of the monetary system from a cash using system to a cashless society and towards a digital payment system, right, with the central bank digital currencies. They're also developing the digital public infrastructure, which is all about transforming the countries, the cities around the world towards these smart cities and these 15-minute cities, right? You have the implementation of the various RFID technology and the NFC technology, the Internet of Things, all of these things, man. Overall, what Esau has called it is their fourth industrial revolution, which is about transforming the world towards a digital age, right? So this is what is upon us, okay? And it is the Mark of the Beast prophecy that is upon us, okay? And all these other prophecies as well, because we're at the end of the kingdom of the so-called white man, who are the Edomites, and at the end of their kingdom, we're going to be seeing all of these prophecies come to pass. So given the times that we're in, the prophecy is speaking louder than ever. And so that's why there is so much information coming out regarding the Mark of the Beast system, because we're in that time. And the scriptures say it in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3, for the vision, which are the prophecies of Yahweh Shemeshai, is there for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak the end of the world, talking about the end of an era, the end of an age, which is the end of the rulership of the so-called white man. And not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And so the vision is speaking very loudly than ever before, right? So that's why so much information is coming out regarding this prophecy, and that's why the Lord has his prophets doing, so many warnings, because these videos are warnings unto the nation of Israel about this Mark of the Beast. So here it is from the People's Voice.tv. Keir Starmer, who I believe was the same person who made the announcement, well, he's the UK Prime Minister, regarding that in order to work in the UK, you will need to have a digital ID. Citizens who reject a digital ID must pay €85, or is that pound? £85 every time they're asked to prove identity. All right, so the system is becoming more draconian as time goes on, and the time span between when it was announced the mandatory digital ID to work in the UK to this point right here, it's been a very quick turnaround, which speaks to the times that we're in. Okay. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has moved from assurances of voluntary digital ID to a regime of mandatory digital compliance, and the consequences for resisting may soon include crippling fees. Earlier this year, the government announced controversial plans for a nationwide digital ID scheme. According to a press release, the digital ID will cut paperwork, save time, and ensure everyone can access the services they're entitled to. On October 23rd, 2025, Starmer told the public, for people who simply don't want it, well, they don't need it, apart from the right to work. In other words, no obligation for everyday life, unless you want to make money and participate in society. And that's already they already caught you right there, right? Because the majority of the people in the UK, I'm sure, need to work to have money. So who really would they be targeting regarding these fees? And it's obvious, it would be those who don't need to work in order to survive. Either they are really wealthy and don't have to work and have those funds and stuff, settled, perhaps trust funds, whatever it is, or it could be even other individuals who are on, I don't know, maybe disabled individuals, stuff like that, who are benefiting from, government aid and stuff like that. But everybody is being targeted to jump onto this digital ID system, okay? And it is that stepping stone, okay? Because the prophecy lets us know that it is going to be mandatory worldwide. And from what is happening here with the digital ID, it's already showing us that they're being very draconian with what they're doing. And scriptures say it, man. Revelation chapter 13. And verse 11, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, which is a miracle. All right. And the two horns like a lamb is referring to the two different political systems that they set up, which is actually a replication of the Roman system. All right. So they had that same kind of system in Rome, and then America has that same system, and then America and the Edomites, right? The Edomites, this is their kingdom. America's their main hub. That kind of system has actually, spread to the rest of the world, where different countries have two different political systems, going head to head, right? And he spake as a dragon. So he spake as a dragon, right? Draconian rule, draconian measures, okay? And draconian measures refers to policies, laws, or rules that are extremely harsh, severe, or excessive, often going beyond what is considered fair or necessary. So this situation that is occurring falls under draconian measures, okay? Because they're forcing you to be a part of a system that really has no needs to be, but it is being forced upon the people in the UK and also, the rest of the world as well in due time, because Esau Edom wants to establish his New World Order. And at the forefront of that New World Order is in fact that microchip, which is the mark of the beast. All right, so they don't care how they're going to be establishing it, man. Different countries are taking different measures in implementing the system. So the UK is doing it in this type of way, but then like in Vietnam, their way of doing it was by way of simply blocking everyone out of their bank accounts for not becoming a part of the digital ID system over there. Okay, so it appears that each country has whatever strategy that they see fit. but it's all heading towards the same exact goal. All right, so let's see what else it has to say. It's frustrating having to rummage around in a drawer looking for an old electricity bill just to open a new bank account. Digital ID will make our lives easier, etc. The question arises, if you opt out, what happens? Although no official fine has yet been publicly announced for refusing the ID, Starmer is now quietly admitting citizens who reject digital ID will have to pay £85 every time to prove their identity. So if you're one of those individuals who, don't have to work and as such wouldn't have to get a digital ID, you're the ones that they're targeting as well. And the prophecy speaks to this. In Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16, it says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead." So he causeth all. It doesn't matter who you are, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So, the poor have to work, right? And the rich don't have to. So they're going to be attaching that every time you have to show your ID, and it's not a digital ID, you'll have to pay £85. Meanwhile, that name and his foundation have been openly promoting digital public infrastructure, with digital identity systems listed among the core components. Digital identity systems that securely prove who you are the digital world's equivalent of roads, bridges, and power lines. In other words, the framework is already being laid globally, and the UK scheme fits neatly into that model globally, right? Going back to the prophecy, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So unless you have the mark of the beast, which is a microchip, you won't be able to buy or sell. And that simply means you're going to be shut out from society. Okay, now let's take a look at the digital ID that has been proposed by the World Economic Forum, which is no longer a proposition. It has been adopted by the countries around the world. All right. And so it will show us that all of these things are attached to your digital ID. So when you go to all of these places and seek all of these services, you'll have to present your ID. So if you don't have a digital ID and you present for all these services, they're going to charge you an extra fee to start, right? So when you go to the doctor or any healthcare, that's going to be affected. Financial services, food and sustainability, travel and mobility, humanitarian response, e-commerce, social platforms, e-government, telecommunications, smart cities. And really, this is just encompassing, many facets of life. And really, it's just going to be everything. All right. So everywhere that you go, because how is the microchip going to work? Their vision is that they have these smart cities and these 15-minute cities, and people will be microchipped, and people will be using that microchip to interact with the technology every single step that they go. So you see all what's happening here. Once again, the digital ID is a stepping stone. All right, if you sign up for the digital ID, you're fine. That is not the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is a microchip. When it gets to the point of the mandatory microchip, that's when you reject. All right, but the digital ID is simply a stepping stone. So you're fine to get one, okay? And some of us already low-key already have some kind of digital ID or a biometric ID. I know that I have a passport and I travel internationally, and at the back of my passport, I discovered that I already have a biometric ID that they have for me, So some people are already like a part of the system in some way or form, and I would just, speaking as a man, guess that biometric ID, which has already traveled to my travel and mobility, would most likely also just be my digital ID identity, right? Because it's already that biometric ID specifically made for me. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. This devil is coming down with great wrath, man. The scriptures say it in Revelation 12 and verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, talking about the so-called white man, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So he's coming with great wrath, man, and this wrath is draconian right now, and it's going to continue to be draconian, but it will also soon become a terrible and violent situation to establish his NWO, with the microchip at the forefront of it. All right, so though no £85 fee has yet been officially confirmed as the price of refusing a mobile-based digital ID, Starmer is threatening that lack of compliance will be punished via financial penalties, exclusion from services, or extra bureaucratic costs. All right, and then just based off of this, we can see what you will be blocked out of eventually if you don't have a digital ID. All right. Okay, so that's it right there, and we'll see how that continues to go. Also in the UK, the people are marching over there in the UK, man. Hundreds of thousands of Brits protest UK government's plans to introduce mandatory digital ID. So the people are protesting, and look at all the faces. Look at the people that are out there protesting. It's a bunch of white-looking people, man. All right? A bunch of white-looking people protesting no to digital ID. So let's assume that all of these are Edomites, right? This is the Edomite look, by the way. Okay? But some of them could be of the other nations. You are what your father is. But let's just say that these are all, Edomites right here in this picture. Taking it face value, right? It's the Edomites that be, people that be looking like white people that be out there marching in the streets regarding these things. Okay, well, what do you think Jake is doing? And I'm not saying for Jake to go out there and to protest. No, that's not what it is. What I'm saying is that they're at least aware and privy as to what is going on. Jake don't care. Jake is thinking about what's happening this weekend at the next party or whatever it is. Jake don't care about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But the scriptures say it, man. All right, the scriptures say that the children of this world are wiser than the children of light. Luke 16 and verse 8, and the Lord commanded the unjust steward, because he had done wisely, for the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. And we are the children of light, the Israelites. But our people, they not on it, man. They living in La La Land. All right? But these people, man, the Edomites, they be protesting. When you look at all of these protests that have been going on around the world, man, you can see that a good chunk of them are actually happening in Edomite sovereign nations. And you be seeing the faces, man. A bunch of white people protesting in their kingdom. All right? Because, it's like they can sense something is off, like something is happening. And what's really happening to them is that their kingdom is deteriorating. It's falling away. All right? And they can feel it in their spirit, whether they know it or not. Okay? And these protests that have been happening in the UK, in Europe, and all around the world is a sign of the end. So this is actually a 2-for-1 special. All right? Because they're protesting against the digital ID, which is a part of the Mark of the Beast system that is coming in. Right? So in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse 1, he says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So Esau's kingdom, its end is manifest. And we're seeing the signs, the earthquakes, common occurrence. The uproars of the people around the world, a common occurrence. And these protests are uproars. So these things continuously happening is a sign of the end of Esau's kingdom. And the prophecies are speaking, man, louder than ever before, letting us know. Hundreds of thousands of protesters gathered in London to oppose the UK government's plan to introduce mandatory digital IDs. On Saturday, protesters from all around the country marched through central London carrying signs that read, "No to digital ID. If you accept digital ID today, you've accepted social credit tomorrow." The social credit that they're talking about is that social credit system that is occurring in China, which has actually left some of the Chinese people over there devastated due to it. I'd suggest to, do a quick search on that social credit system happening in China, because that's the same model that is going to be happening around the rest of the world, right? What the wicked elite of Esau Edom does is that they test these systems in various different places. And why not test it in places where the population is one of the highest, right? China is now, number 2 behind India. And India as well has undergone, very quick and drastic changes towards the digital economy and the digital system. All right, they're one of the primary countries around the world. They have the digital rupee, which is their, currency, and then they have the digital ID, which is the Aadhaar, which the Aadhaar been around for like a hot minute now. So the protest came in response to Labour Prime Minister Keir Starmer announcing the government's plan to introduce a mandatory digital ID called BritCard for everyone who wants to work in the UK. The plan has been met with a strong backlash from the public, including protests in other cities, as reported. Almost 3 million people have signed a petition opposing the government's plan to make the BritCard mandatory for all workers by 2029. According to the petition, no one should be forced to register with a state-controlled ID system, which it describes as a step towards mass surveillance and digital control. What's happening is simply just Esau bringing in his next stage of slavery system. Starmer and his government use the problem of illegal immigration, for which they are at least partly responsible, as a pretext to mandate digital ID. And Esau really does play the long game, because he been working on that illegal immigration thing for a hot minute, not only in the UK but also in Europe, right? We've heard about the invasion of the Arabs that they say in Europe, like in France, and then you have like in Canada as well, where they say that there is an invasion of the Indian people, the East Indians from India, which they're the ones who set that all up. So yeah, they play the long game, and now they're using what they set up as the reason why they're implementing these systems. But people are seeing right through it, and so that's why they're marching. So what is to come next, right? The wicked elite of Esau Edom is going to have to bring about some serious measures. And what's going to come? Famine and pestilence. These are parts of the judgments from Yahweh Shemishai that are coming. So the people, we'll see how many hundreds of thousands are marching out there when it is that there's famine. And then they're going to tell you that in order to eat, you have to be a part of the system. They're going to tell you that in order to gain access to food or medical services or anything that they have to offer, you will have to receive a microchip. This is where it's all heading towards, man. This is a prophecy. So, yeah, man. Things are getting hotter every single day. A lot of judgment is about to be rolled out from Yahweh Shemishai. And so the warning has gone out from the Lord, man, to not take the mark of the beast, which is a microchip. Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh Shemishai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So America is going to be destroyed by a thermonuclear fire, and the destruction and the salvation is going to be happen simultaneously, right? Before the missiles are going to be shot at America, but before the missiles land, Yahushua is going to return and deliver the elect of the nation of Israel from the four corners of the earth, and 1/3 of our people from America, and 2/3 are going to be destroyed. So the Lord is warning our people to not take the microchip and to trust and to have faith in our power Yahweh Shemishai. But the situation is that our people simply will not. A good chunk of them. So they will have to, face the fiery judgment from the Lord. But this is what is at hand, man. And there's so much going on regarding this prophecy every single day. It's like things are being sped up. As the scriptures say, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed, and that is indeed true. So with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, by Shema Kodesh. Shalom.